What's good, artists? It's Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com here with another Artist Marketing 911. Artists, today we're going to talk about why I believe most artists quit or give up before they see their full potential. It's not a very uncommon thing either. I'm pretty sure you've seen a few artists that maybe were in your crew or maybe that were working with you and just decided, you know what, this is not for me. I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe they had kids, maybe it's a new job, maybe they relocated to another location. Whatever the reason is, I feel like it still comes down to a very specific problem that a lot of artists face. What is that problem? Well, I can tell you firsthand from doing all of these artist consultations. The one common thread that I think a lot of artists have is that they don't know what they want. What is it that you want? Most artists will tell you, if you ask them what they want out of this music industry, they're going to tell you they either want to be famous, they want to be rich, or they want to make an impact. It comes in one of those three categories. And I'll tell you, is it possible to have all three of those? Absolutely. But is it possible to get them all at the same exact time? Absolutely not. You have to decide what is it that you want. If you want the fame or the money, one of those has to come first. You've heard it like I've heard it. Many a stories behind the music where an artist starts to get things cracking off finally in their career, but financially they're still hurting. They're on tour eating top ramen and struggling and trying to really make their way from stop to stop, and they're trying to make their way up still. Now their name is buzzing and it's circulating through many different places, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're rich. So with that said, it's very important for you to establish what exactly it is that you want. Because if you don't establish what you want, you're going to get to that destination. Oh, I fully believe you can get to that destination. I fully believe you can be famous. I fully believe you can be rich. I believe in both of those. I fully believe you can be impactful as well. I think you can have all three. But if you go about it saying, I want to be famous, I want to be famous, I want to be famous, you do not reserve the right to be mad at anybody else except for yourself when you finally get it, just to figure out it wasn't even worth it. So many artists put in so much work. They grind their whole career, but they're grinding towards a destination that they have no idea where they're going. Have you ever heard my bicycle analogy? I always say most artists are riding a bicycle sideways. Now think about that. If you take your bicycle in the middle of the street right now and ride it the right way, where is it going to go? You're going to go forward. You're going to go straight to wherever you're trying to go. If you put that bicycle sideways and those wheels get off the ground, what happens? You're putting in a lot of work to go absolutely nowhere. And I feel like it's the same exact thing that artists do. Now, one of the biggest obstacles as an artist is when you're at that stage of figuring out what exactly it is that you want. Because I'll tell you, if you say you want to be rich, but you secretly want to be famous, you're going to be making bad decisions with your money so that you can actually attain that other goal of being famous. For example, if there's a car that's a one of one, it's a rare car, it's $200,000, but you only have $175,000 to your name, it might make sense to you to go ahead and cop that car because of the fame of it. You'll be the only person that ever has that car. But can you see how making decisions like that on a smaller scale can end up hurting you in your pockets because you're not establishing what exactly it is that you want? Don't make famous decisions when you want to be rich, and don't make rich decisions when you want to be famous. When you want to be famous, you do pay for play shows. You don't even worry about not even seeing any profit off of it. When you want to be famous, you'll spend a bunch of time that maybe you should have dedicated towards building up your merch or maybe even looking for a job. Say, forget that. I'm trying to be famous. And guess what? You will achieve that. But I warn you, if you go for one goal and it's not actually what you want, you will not be fulfilled when you accomplish the other one. You're going to always feel like there's something more that you need to do. And this is when you start seeing celebrities and athletes make these crazy decisions with their money. Because in their heart, what they really wanted to do was be famous. They wanted to be loved. They wanted to be received. They wanted to make an impact. They wanted one of these things. And now they're having to make decisions with the other categories, whether it's their money, whether it's their actual fame or whatever. They're having to make decisions with those and basically sacrifice the integrity of those so that they can maintain what they really, really want. So what is it that you really, really want? Don't be ashamed of it. If you want to be famous, say that to yourself. But don't lie to yourself. Here's one of the major benefits of knowing what you actually want. When you know what you want, when you have your heart set on what you want, The beautiful thing that happens is that you redefine your idea of success. Now, for most artists, if you ask them what's a successful album release, they'll say, oh, if I sell 1 million copies. But what if your goal is not to sell 1 million copies of an album? What if your goal is to sell enough copies to make rent? What if you decided, you know what, I want to sell 45 t-shirts at $20 to pay my $900 rent? That's not successful to you? In my book, you're successful. In my book, you're doing something that 90% of the people in this industry are not doing. Why not build upon that success? A lot of artists are out here and they're looking for a savior. They're looking for somebody to come in throwing all that money into them and help them be famous and help them be rich and help them be impactful, and it's just not going to happen like that. You have to clearly establish what it is that you want, or somebody's going to come establish that for you and you're not going to be happy. When your idea of success changes, your focus starts to change. Now those naysayers and maybe family members and maybe friends that tell you, oh man, you're not on BET or MTV, so you're not successful. You may look at them and start laughing. Or you may feel inside like they have no idea what the idea of success is as an independent artist or an up-and-coming artist. For them, you have to understand, they may not even understand success for themselves. So how can they even envision success for somebody like yourself? An entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur. They won't even be able to fathom the idea of that. But once your idea of what success is changes, your goals change. Once your goals change and you're focused in, now you're thinking about, okay, well, I sold 45 shirts. Well, how do I sell 60? How do I sell 80? How do I sell 100? Redefine your idea of success. And believe me, don't get it twisted. I'm not telling you to not set big goals. I'm telling you just to be clear about what it is that you want. What are your goals? If you want to sell 1 million copies, fine. You got to figure out a way to sell 5 copies first. You got to figure out a way to take those 5 copies of 15 to 30. You got to figure out how to get yourself in front of more people who buy albums. And an obvious one is you have to put your album up for purchase. Artists make all of these rules for themselves that, oh, I'm not going to sell my project until this and this happens. Well, your goal is to sell 1 million copies. The longer you wait, the longer it's going to take for you to learn how to sell more copies. When you establish clear, precise, manageable, and attainable goals, your whole idea of success changes. 95% of the people around you right now are not going to achieve their goals. It's a huge percentage. It's hard to actually believe that percentage sometimes because people do a really good job of showing you only their highlights, whether it's on their social networks or whatever the case may be. But 95% of people are not going to achieve the goals they really wanted to achieve. Why is that? Because they didn't write them down, because they weren't clear. A lot of your peers are going to quit. A lot of your friends that you came in here rapping with, they're going to quit. They're going to blame the fact that they had a baby, or they're going to blame the fact that, oh, I want to do the family thing. But to me, I always looked at that as it gave you an opportunity. It gave you a scapegoat to leave. It gave you an opportunity to do what you really wanted to do, which was be a family man. There's nothing wrong with being a family man or a family woman. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't get it twisted. Most artists quit because they don't know what exactly it is that they want. And when they don't achieve it fast enough, they look at themselves as a failure. And instead of harping on that failure, well, they just move on. Understand that no matter which one you pick in this game, if you want to be rich, you want to be famous or impactful, they're all going to take hard work and being smart about the way you go about that hard work. It's going to be a process. When you get to your destination, you're going to say, man, if I would have known it would have took all of this to get to where I'm at, I probably wouldn't have done it. That's the kind of hard work I'm talking about. And it's going to happen for you. Establish what you want, be clear about it, and make sure that's what truly, truly fulfills you. These are my thoughts. I would love to hear yours. This is another Artist Marketing 911, Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com.
Play this every morning when you wake up. Oh, gosh told me not to sing on this, but I promise you, I feel like mystical. Hey, come on, let me get this.
Curtis King with 2 S's, Beats.com. 2SSbeats.com.